Music. Ready? Yep. All right, everyone. 4:03. Thank you all for being here. I'm going to call this meeting to order. First, public comment. Ready from the public? I don't see anyone. Anybody online? Nope. All right. Approval of the agenda. You want to add or subtract anything? Now is the time to do so. Otherwise, I can have someone say, I move that we accept the agenda as presented. So moved. All right, Carol, or Pat. Pat. Her voice is important. Both of you are very commanding. You know, if I wasn't looking at you then. Are you saying man? No, some man skills to have. All those in favor? Any opposed? Okay, approval of the minutes. If there's any corrections? Disclosure, I haven't looked at these. You did some updates on the minutes just because you could. Is that why? I mean, all the things in red that have happened since. Oh, that. Is that for the minutes? Yeah. Here's some in the minutes.
Oh, I think I just pasted in the project updates that I had reviewed. So it's basically just in the information that I had updated.
And I mean, technically, they're not the minutes, but it's good to know the updates.
Yes, we did. I did kind of talk about them.
But we talk about all of them? Anyway, it doesn't matter. I think it was most helpful.
It does say updates though.
So we should at least make note that the portions in red were updated. It looks like you were using this document to work on things that were presented, like the parking meeting. Like this is like almost verbatim some of the stuff that was on some of those boards at the parking meeting.
Yeah, because that was items that we had. So yeah, so I had presented that to our board and it was in the packet. But then I also went through the packet. And so that had just our staff updates. So that was basically our staff updates from the previous month in the minutes. So we can either.
We should leave it. We could just make a note that.
It's, the note is there on top of the
Yeah, you
board.
said new items or updates, right? Okay, I just haven't seen that. Okay, well then it's there. So there are no changes or corrections. Someone can say, someone come up with a motion.
Approve it. Second.
Okay. All those in favor, Jerry and Jared. All those in favor? Aye. All right, team projects and updates. Is that in?
Okay, so that, yeah, that's in the
Okay, so
packet.
that's this.
So yeah, it looks similar. What I'm trying to do is just keep up with what we've got going on. Main Street Conference, I realized I didn't put the date to save in the agenda. It is March 12th. Or March 14th through 16th, and it's in Statesville, and it was supposed to be in Statesville last year, and it was not because they had to switch to virtual. So just shoot me an email if you're interested in coming. We've got extra of those. Especially with it being not that far away, it'd be a good conference for folks to attend to, and the city can cover hotel and registration for board members and volunteers who would like to attend. I know Caroline's attended several conferences and John has, and Jerry, and so I recommend it.
What's the date for that?
March 14th through 16th.
We would go early on 14th.
Yeah, because it's only a couple hours away, and usually it starts later in the day on that Tuesday.
Tentatively, I think I can go.
Then the big bulk of things are on that Wednesday is when most of like the sessions things are.
And then it goes till,
Like
like
midday
noon.
on that Thursday.
yeah, or sometimes like an award ceremony. Sometimes, I mean, some people could skip that
Yeah.
without being too much of a
Yeah,
problem.
yeah, whenever we,
Wednesday is the day, though.
yeah, whenever we get the official schedule of things going on, that can kind of help decide if you want to go to some or all. So just keep that in mind. It'll be coming out. Special event policy, we've talked about this several times. That's going to be going, we've already presented it to council. It's just some updates as far as safety for the special event policy and also update to the fees. We talked about, travel events review. I have that in red, but that's actually old.
So the special events policy and fees are what we have had in front of us.
Mhm.
There are no further changes.
Mhm.
Okay, cool.
The only change that we're waiting on is, from the police department, on updates to required number of officers per event. And that's really a public safety discussion more than anything. So even if we said suggestions for that, that probably would get overruled by the police department.
And the more, I mean, really, since we've looked at this, the more events we have, that we have the side streets open, I know it's better for traffic flow. Boy, is it getting crazy with that. People don't necessarily know that they're not closed and traffic is weird and people are walking around right in the middle of the intersections, even if they're open. And it's just like, if we continue to have super huge events, it's just getting dangerous. Like, I'm really worried something's gonna happen. And that's really in the last since we went over this policy, I was cool with it. And then since then I've been watching and I'm like, oh my God, this is getting.
There's also
scary.
drivers are getting emboldened the more we do it, so they know this, the streets are closed, so they're just going. They're not
Following the lights.
not following the lights.
Yeah.
Are you talking about any events in particular?
Art on Main was crazy. That one did
The
have,
avenues were closed.
but during setup and breakdown, they were not. And even during setup, it was
It was chaos.
chaos.
Really?
And then,
Street lighting, I saw it. People blowing-
oh yeah, that was really scary with the two intersections. And that was just one block. And I was thinking if we could close one block further, but then we still have the problem on the others, but then we don't want to close the whole street. Like, I don't know the answer to that one, but it was, I mean, and packed with people. I mean, they were like spilling out into the intersections and just not paying attention.
We've talked a lot about it on the special events committee, and there's kind of two different thoughts on that, even as far as safety goes, because when the avenues are open, when it's not an Apple Festival crowd, it does have easier access for safety vehicles to cross. And, so there's not really a good answer because there's two different sides of safety on that, because I see the problems with what you've got, but then also,
Maybe we need crossing guards, even if they're volunteers
And that's-
for orange vest.
that's something that we've talked about too, is if we do have events with the avenues open, is having some bigger signage of like
Don't pay attention.
those people that beyond, like guys that are walking across the street, like look both ways before crossing. I know it's not really, people aren't gonna look necessarily. And then the other thing that we continue to talk about are bollards, on Main Street, like the retractable bollards to go up, which will be a multi-million-dollar project. But, that also would not necessarily solve the issue at hand.
In between them.
Yeah, for people walking, it would potentially, whenever we have the barricades that aren't filled, the bollards would feasibly stop a car, whereas the barricades, if they're not filled, won't.
They've been filling them recently.
Yeah,
After crazy people.
Cars continuing on across Main Street when part of the Main Street's closed, or is it that they go up there and can't go nowhere?
it's, cars not stopping at the stoplight because they see the street closed, so they just
Go.
plow through, they don't look at the lights, and people not looking both ways when crossing.
Yeah, the red light.
Don't pay attention. Yeah, but with,
Mhm.
don't pay attention. With horrible accidents of people crashing into parades,
Mhm.
you gotta, have to do something to make sure.
I mean, more signage would cover us.
I think so
from,
too,
Like,
yeah.
like at least liability wise, but I would say, this policy put a lot of work into it based on what we had seen in the last couple of years. we got to where we were with this. But I would say if, as we continue to grow, if we expect to see, or if we'll see the growth we expect to see out of the events we're doing, probably within max 3 years, I think we'll have to relook at things and decide maybe not to do an incentive to have the avenues open, or just eliminate that, be like, you get all the blocks for nothing. I mean, that might just be what we have to do to keep people safe. But I don't know if that'll be, I don't know. Hopefully we'll be that busy where we will get there, I guess.
Is keeping one of the avenues or two of the avenues open an option, something in the middle, so people, drivers don't have to go all the way around, so they can cross in one particular spot. And then in that one spot, you've got a crossing guard, so you don't have to have 7 crossing guards, you can have 1.
Yeah, and we've talked some about that too. We can put a note with that and bring it back up to the special events committee, because we're gonna review it all one last time before it goes to council.
I think it would be nice just to note that this committee had
Yeah.
thoughts about event goer safety and driver safety.
Yeah. Because I've seen since it's been implemented, the comfort level of vehicles is more and the comfort level for pedestrians is less.
So I'll put a note about, because we have talked about just closing or keeping 1 or 2 avenues open, and I think police would probably be comfortable with that too.
What was the last bigger thing that had?
I'm trying to think of what it was.
Dip Hills in town.
That was terrible with the avenues open.
Mhm.
That was,
There was something else.
they should close it all for that.
And, Antique and Vintage Show.
What Tales in Town needs to do is not spread out so much.
We're gonna encourage them to do it as like a 3 block
Yeah.
closure instead.
What is the benefit of leaving the avenues open? Is there-
Safety for EMT and
Yeah, access for public safety to go across and,
traffic flow.
yeah, just easier traffic flow for people coming to businesses or coming to town. It also has more parking spaces
Hmm.
if you keep them open.
What was the problem with the tails in town? They just were walking.
Avenues are open and
People just walked across that look.
Mhm.
cars. But as soon as they saw that the streets were closed, like, people don't know what to do. Like, if you go to a stoplight that's out, you're supposed to make it a 4-way stop, like treat it like a 4-way stop and acknowledge the other drivers around you and let's figure this out. No one does that. I mean, that's just,
And the stoplight's not even out. They should
Yeah.
be following the stoplight,
everybody does.
but
Well, and there's kids too that like, sometimes they're down here and the streets are closed, so they run, and sometimes they, so they see the orange barriers, they're like, closed.
Even
let's
with
go.
even with like a crossing guard, you always are supposed to watch the person and not what the lights are doing. Like, the person directing traffic trumps all the signs, all the lights. A lot of people don't even know that, like, that was a driver's test, and yeah, I don't know what the answer is,
yeah,
but I know,
I'll put some notes on that. So we can,
They'll solve it all.
yeah, special events committee will figure it out.
yeah, because it all had a lot of, or we've had a lot of conversations about it. Parking meter implementation, I've got no updates for this, meeting, just know that last time, can't, or if we, yeah, we have had the parking permit informational meeting, since we had our last board meeting, Caroline was there.
Did we skip sidewalk dining room?
Yes, we did. We can go back to it, though.
Oh, I didn't have any additional updates. I've got that in red.
I think
I
we
just
still
have an
wanna
update that we
talk about that.
have reviewed. Oh, okay.
Let's keep it going on parking for now. We'll come back.
Okay. Okay. I didn't know there was any. The parking is still slated to go live in March. The meters and garage should be opening at that time. And at that time would also be the new permit structure.
Did I see that? I'm sorry. Go ahead, I'll ask a question.
That's really all I have for updates on that. We have the RSVPs for the new parking permits and they're coming along pretty well. We have several downtown businesses, I think ones who have already had permits for, in some of the lots, but we haven't had a lot of, as far as like, we're pushing out for downtown employees. I'm sure probably part of it is awareness. And so if anyone has,
Do you plan on bringing out any more, like one of the last little packets you brought around downtown had the parking permit stuff. Do you plan on doing that again, like putting it back out? Cause I had a couple of businesses actually asking me about it, saying, did you not get the little flyer that had all the information on it? So I didn't know if maybe a second round of that just to make.
Yeah, I was thinking
Yes.
in January when maybe they're not so distracted with December stuff going on, going back around and doing some targeted.
Yeah, cause I know
things with some of them.
up on that saying like, I'm not paying $80. I was like, well, they're not all $80. Did you not read the paper? Like, come on.
Are residents here, it says, if I'm reading this right, that we will open up the wait list for new parking. You've already filled all the parking?
No, this is, so wait list is also what I'm referring to is to get to register for the new permit. And so it's open.
Well, how did the public get to know about it?
It's on the city's website and I've just sent it out for our downtown list and in our
There's a
newsletter.
lot of city, well, who's the public that would buy permits? I mean, like, I live right outside of town, that kind of public.
Mhm.
Because people don't religiously go to the city website, so how would they know?
That would be
If they wouldn't.
Allison's question, because I'm focused on the downtown businesses and the people to park for that, but it's available.
Yeah, would it be a priority to push that?
In my mind, no.
Right.
But
Well, no, first is current permit holders, downtown businesses, downtown employees, and I would think people that live here that want, I would think. But you say open to the public, and if it's not really,
Mhm.
people don't go to the city website, I don't know, it may be opening a can of worms, but
Mhm.
it says it there.
I feel like if people are wanting one, they would seek out how to get one.
So they've had it on the website, on social media, on different like ad platforms that they do, like anywhere where they put meeting notices sometimes, like they have to advertise the parking meetings in certain
Mhm.
ways. And it's been kind of a mix of what they generally do.
Well,
Whether or not that hits everyone.
the gist is permits are for the dogwood lot, and there's some permitted garage parking.
There's a lot, yeah.
That's just for people who pay an annual or monthly.
It's
fee.
$80 a month.
And the interior lots are like, I know we went through all this, I can't remember,
Yeah,
but.
they're the ones that are in between Main and King Street.
So this is not permit parking for metered parking lot.
Some of them are mixed.
Because if it's now you read that Dogwood, you're taking out all the meters.
That's what we're looking to do, is just having it permit only, at least for the beginning, until we see what the demand is.
You just cover that meter in that one, right?
Well, all the current meters are going away, new ones are coming in, so just a new
Oh, okay.
one in there. And most of them are broken right now, if you notice
Really?
that, so good timing on.
Well, I parked down that parking lot. I didn't pay, so hopefully I won't get a ticket.
No, yeah.
I drove around the block 3 times before I got a parking spot.
It was also talking about in council conversations as well. We did council conversations.
About the permits.
About the permit, about parking and everything that was going on. Awesome.
I feel like people really aren't gonna start taking advantage of this stuff until the meters actually come in, and you're really not gonna.
Yeah,
know.
they'll hold off.
They'll wait till the very last minute.
And we're,
I think from our purpose, we should be more focused on getting employees correct parking, the safety and encouragement of that, before it's out there. We did it. I don't think it'd be something that we want to promote more than we already have. I mean,
The group, like, yeah,
this group as a organization of why we're all sitting here today.
From a public perspective, right, everybody is different. They all have a different amount of time that I mean, we have our own parking, right? But we'd like to park over here when we come to Main Street. We're not gonna walk from the gallery, right? But we don't do that enough to warrant a permit.
right,
We just go to the lot,
yeah.
Right.
you know, log up and be done with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I feel like the majority of people who are just coming to shop and dine downtown would be doing, unless it's like their regular.
Parade and dog in the park walk.
Mhm.
one thing from the parking meeting that I thought was interesting was the biggest source of contention were people that had dedicated 24/7 spots. So only their spot always were the ones that came to that meeting, which is interesting because this group and all the other subcommittees that we work with, it was easy peasy, like no more 24/7 spots. Like we didn't even talk through that hardly at all because, so that was,
Well, that said, Pete,
Okay.
it's like season ticket holders for football games. They don't want to give up their spot. So do they get priority in reserving spots because they've been doing it for years
Yeah, they have the ability to sign up for their
before? everybody
spaces.
else?
Yeah, because they got the invitation to come to the meeting and we had initially a permit holder only part of the meeting. And that's when they came and
but they,
let us know.
yeah, they won't be 24/7 spots.
No, they won't have their name on them.
I'd like to say something about this part in here where it says they're reviewing with the police and the attorney about the enforcement.
Mhm.
I got to say, there is no way you need to be booting vehicles, towing vehicles, and letting the police enforce that or whoever, if they can't enforce getting rid of the druggies and the bums and stuff like that off the street, in parking lots and things like that. So you go and you start enforcing booting somebody's car and you got 3 bums sitting in somebody's business doorway and the police can't do anything about it, I think it's wrong. So that's my 2 cents worth on the booting and the
No, I can,
towing. The ticketing, I understand. If you're parking in a parking place and your meter ran out, go put some more money in it or get a ticket. But if you're gonna boot somebody's car and tow it, that's a whole nother story. If you can't get rid of the vagrants.
I don't think there's any plans to boot or tow. unless-
Actually,
And they're.
there are for people who have not paid tickets. So we've got a problem of unpaid tickets.
Okay,
And so when it's after a certain amount of unpaid tickets of frequent
You boot them.
users,
Tow 'em.
then that's the system that's gonna be set up. And we have parking enforcement that are non-sworn officers. So they don't have the ability to do any type of enforcement on.
And those are 2 different things, and every city has a problem with taking care of and seeing the safety of the homeless and the safety of the businesses, especially, if-
it's called loitering,
yeah, well, but it's separate than
and there's no,
for cars.
there's no ordinance here handling loitering.
That's a good thing to approach city
There
council.
was, but they lightened up the
It was, at one time.
do it. They took a different approach towards the.
If you have a sign, if your property is posted, then you can call and get a response and a removal.
If they loiter.
it's private property, yeah.
If you don't have a sign on your building saying no loitering, they'll come over, talk to them, and leave.
Did you have a firsthand experience with that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, because that's also my experience, but, so do you have any idea how many tickets someone would have to get before they would get towed?
That's currently with the police.
So they don't have
and
the
with
answer to that
law.
yet.
Yeah,
Okay,
So with the police won't be doing it, the parking enforcers will?
yeah. Yeah, so that,
Booting or ticketing?
essentially what my understanding is after probably like 2 or 3 outstanding tickets that are unpaid, in order to get collections moving on that, there would be a boot, and then after, I think, like 24 hours, if it's on a boot, it would be towed.
And let me say, if it's somebody that has a bunch of parking tickets ain't paid, and that's the people that you're gonna boot or tow, I'm good with
Yeah,
that.
that's the only purpose.
Not what that says right here. It just says, reviewing me with city attorney police regarding ordinance changes and enforcement. That's where I
Mhm.
got on that.
They purposely vague because I didn't have the specifics.
That's quite all right. I totally understand.
Yeah.
Jamie, do we know how many residents in town might need public parking or use public parking?
All of them.
Like some buildings have their own underground parking, but
Like people who live downtown.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was like, yeah, everybody comes downtown, so I need to. A lot of them are at the Skyland and they have permits. So they would be applying for the new permit. I don't have a number on that though.
where do those people park? Across
At the city lot, the across the city hall.
I think,
Most of them are already annual pass holders. right?
Yeah.
I think that in another meeting, because we have a full agenda today, should have an officer here to explain like city policy, city ordinances, the loitering thing, what options you can do. Or like, what is the thing you sign where they can?
Authorization to act.
Yeah, authorization to act. I don't remember necessarily having that conversation with this actual group. We've had it with
We've had it, but we've had a lot more new people since, maybe we haven't at the actual board.
I think we have it the actual board. We have it with like,
Well, the chief used to come to all of our 7th Avenue meetings. though.
okay, so we should just
Mhm.
like address some of those things in the coming, let's
Yeah.
put it on the agenda
Yeah,
at
we'll
some
have-
point and have a longer conversation about this stuff. It's time to talk about it
Yeah.
again.
We can do that. Okay, anything else on parking? Coming.
Okay,
Was there a question on town hall?
yeah, so.
When we last met in October, the consensus from this board was no further changes.
Right,
And that's the extent of where I currently am on that.
and
What's the makeup of list? What's the non-compliant? Is that what you're gonna ask? I'm sorry.
what I was gonna say is
Old, I'm sorry.
Jamie's plan
Mhm.
is to review all the outdoor use of space to figure out who's doing what, who's not compliant, contact everyone again, make sure that everyone has an individualized plan to get to compliant, however long it might take for whatever reason. And so that everyone is on the same page
Yeah,
about
so
it.
then when it comes back around,
Timeline?
yes, when, applications, permits,
We're talking next.
For,
Okay.
for.
when they are due every year, June.
In June.
And so we will be reviewing those. I'm sorry, I forgot.
And hopefully everybody will be compliant by then, but if there's still like, my stuff's still back ordered or something like that, obviously we'll,
The paper trail on it. It's like, all right, got it.
that's just that there is a plan in place that is constantly working to get to 100% compliant.
Next thing, as far as events, the Friends of Downtown, I think I've already brought this up, we're taking over Garden Jubilee. Not a lot of major plans to change things this year, but we have contracted with, a group, Dragonfly Marketing. They're out of Shelby. And we're gonna be working with them, to manage vendors for the event, because it's just not something that we have the capacity for. So we have a contract with them and we've got the vendor.
And that is next year,
Yeah.
2023.
Memorial Day weekend. We've got the call for returning vendors currently out and the applications available for them, and then we'll open it up for the public and review those applicants for that. Since this is a new one for us, like I said, we're gonna keep it as similar to the past for this year, but then we'll see if there's any additional updates that should be made for future years. Last event for this year is this Saturday. There's holiday train rides at the courthouse. Free. So if anybody has kids to come and ride a little Christmas train, Dakota and Terry have been working on that.
Is this a real train or something up and down Main Street?
Small train. There's no tracks that it rides.
So is it just gonna be like circling around in that parking lot or is
But no, it'll go, it's same route that the carriage rides do. It's happened for the past several years. It was the TDA that had done it in the past. So then we're taking over the TDA's holiday events.
And you have your volunteer event still. When is?
Yes, we have a volunteer party on Monday at Dry Falls. We're also one of our brewery sponsors for Rhythm and Brews. If anyone hasn't RSVP'd, go ahead and do that. I sent out the link. I can send it out again. And so we'll celebrate our volunteers and their help for us for this year. We've got food from Appalachian Smoke. Is that what it's called? Barbecue? Eighth Carolina Barbecue.
I tell John it's his birthday party since that's my
Yeah.
birthday.
Yeah.
Just sing happy
Well,
birthday.
If he doesn't know about it, we can make it a
Make it a surprise.
Okay, bring one candle.
Fashionably late.
So he doesn't know about it.
Yeah, it's full surprise. Okay, so that's where, and so then we'll start reviewing, or we've already started, but we'll start, getting into events for next year real soon. Seventh Avenue branding, we presented, to city council on December first. And had a great presentation from, Solon with Arnett Muldrow on that. That's where these hats, we had those ready for the presentation of that. And a couple sample signs that look really nice, some open flags. We got one done, just for a sample for that, but we'll be getting that rolling out as we head into the spring. Other things, these were no updates from last time on the business investment initiative and Dogwood Health Trust grant. Downtown master plan, we do have our consultant, their name was Bolton and Mink, I believe. We had interviewed several of them because they would be doing the downtown master plan and comprehensive plan. And so Lou has been working with them on the timeline, so I don't have a lot of information on the timeline for that yet. But anticipate in the next coming year, lots of meetings regarding the downtown master plan and comprehensive plan. And that's our downtown staff update that we've got going on right now.
I don't know if this, in this category, but do you have any updates on that capstone project?
No, he had presented it to his group, and then I was out, and so I haven't seen what he hasn't sent me the final product.
Capstone?
In the Economic Vitality Committee, we had a Master's Public Affairs student who, did a capstone project on downtown employee and workforce,
Retention.
benefits or opportunities for them. So he was working on that and kind of so I think he'll probably due back to me soon as far as the final work.
Can we go back to 7? Just so we can clarify and make sure they're clear
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't get there.
of the streetscape project.
Sorry, I didn't.
As I understand it, we don't have a start date, but we do have a completion date. Right?
How's that work?
I don't have the answer on the date of start or completion, but there is a specific timeline that they have to follow as far as the construction manager.
Or is it a calendar date,
There's not a.
like this time next year?
Or like 12 months, 15 months.
It's a line of start to finish time, and I don't have the answer to that
Okay.
currently.
All right, the second question then is, if I interpret this correctly, we have a budget, but we don't have a design commitment.
So,
The project might shrink if they come in with high prices for flower boxes.
yeah, so, because I had checked in with our engineering department to get a good answer on how this process is different from the original process. And so initially, we had the design, and then there was going to be a contractor who was managing the design of it. And that's when we did not get any bids submitted a year ago. So then the city changed and moved to a construction manager at risk in order to get basically someone or a construction company, which is the middleman, and this is what we did for the parking garage. And so then what they have to do is get their estimates and timeline, the construction manager, and then bring that back to the city to determine how that fits within the budget and how that works. Basically, value engineering within the budget on how that works. That's the extent of what I know about it.
Do you know what the budget number overall for the project is sitting at?
Around 2 million.
We have this mirage of a plan that's gonna be the streetscape. And we
Mhm.
have a foggy idea, one, how close we're gonna get to that.
Well, a lot of it has to be done because the majority of what you see green space wise is stormwater mitigation.
Yeah,
So that has to be done with like the trees and the green spaces, and grass. There are some, I'm sure there are some things that could be cut out. I'm not in favor of cutting any of that stuff out. I say, go big or go home. We're doing it. But like, they're not gonna just start cutting out. You'd have to engineer the whole damn thing if they took out certain green spaces. Like, I think 80%, 90%, almost all of it is for stormwater mitigation.
Anything
and there's a grant for some water.
Structure outside of the budget.
No.
That
No, that's included in it.
is included in it, which means infrastructure and aesthetics, all right, are all in the same bucket. So if the infrastructure number goes up, you know, unless somebody's going back to the well.
I think they'll get steep in there.
Yeah,
I think the aesthetics are going to be a part of the infrastructure, and I think that's what Caroline's kind of. talking
Yeah,
about, the stormwater.
Before you even came here, we were working with a landscape architect. And we thought it would be a pretty quick process, but it turned out to be really lengthy because they kept discovering more and more and more problems underneath. And that is why they designed like all the things in green space have to be there.
that's firsthand knowledge of the problems
Yeah.
underground, right?
So,
I've got a hole in front of my shop. Yeah.
yeah, yes,
Still hasn't
Are-
repaired.
they are the infrastructure. Almost all of it is.
And some things like light posts and I think even like furniture have already been purchased and the city already has them. So some things like that are already
I
there.
don't even know what we could possibly cut out of there.
Yeah,
I'd have to go back and look at
yeah.
it again.
I don't want to speak too much to that.
Yeah, I don't even.
Most of the time when they do a process like that, they start out with a basic plan and a budget. And then the contractor that they pick, they just don't go say, I want you to go do it. They go through a process and they interview different contractors and stuff like that, and they pick the one that's most qualified for that type of work. And that contractor then works with the designers, putting together budgets on what they design, because you can get to an end a couple different ways. So if what they designed is a $100,000 piece of something, and you can get the same thing for 68,000, at the end of the day, it comes in too much, they go back and they redefine that and say, okay, well, we can use this product instead of that product, or get it from here versus here, to kind of keep everything within budget. And then if the scope changes along the way due to certain things that are unforeseen, then of course the budget goes up on that. So where at the end of the day, you still wind up with pretty close to what you started out with. And
Hopefully, except now we've got a mid-management, basically, we've got a GC added to the on top of the contractors, so we're adding fees to the cost of the
but the
project.
thing is that the main contractor, GC, if you will, that is either self-performing a portion of it or subcontracting a portion of it. The construction manager at risk makes it to where they're taking the risk to where if the project goes over budget, they're covering that cost. That's the whole reason for doing that, because a lot of times in this day and time, it's become a benefit to the customer, because if they say their budget's 2 million and that guy says they can do it for 2 million and this is what they want, he's on the hook for the rest of it.
Chris is the one of the ones that pushed for it to be done that way because we didn't get any, and
It's
a contractor.
a better way to do it, and
Yeah.
and I think it's a better benefit for the town to get it that way. Because they'll get what they want for that price, and they don't have to worry about things going up unless they change their mind.
Right.
Yeah, that, if there's any substantial changes to what we see on that, there's gonna be a lot more conversation on either financing or what needs to be done on that, because there's a certain point like where it's like, what's the point of doing it if it's not
Done right.
making these good improvements for it? And I didn't mean to skip that over, I just didn't see it in there.
So maybe in the next 3 months, we can get a nice good update on that
Oh, yeah,
from
yeah.
someone not Jamie Carpenter. Because
Yeah,
it's Not you.
yeah, before these meetings, I check in with engineering on it.
Although I'd vote for you to be in charge of it.
All right. Anything else on our current update? Otherwise, we've got to, approve our meeting schedule for the year. And the meetings are the same day of the month as they were. This past year, so the community character team meets the first Tuesday of the month at 9 a.m. The events team meets the first Thursday of the month at 9 a.m. The downtown advisory board meets second Tuesday at 4 p.m. And the economic vitality team meets the first Tuesday at 4 p.m. And the only one I went ahead and marked out was July 4th for the economic vitality community character. I was trying to move it around to a day, but then that would mess up the downtown board meeting schedule day and it was easier.
And downtown advisory.
Jamie, on the community character,
Mhm.
underneath it says events.
Okay, I can fix that.
And this is the same as it's been.
Yeah,
Right.
and the subcommittees can now meet virtually. The board has to meet in person, but subcommittees can meet virtually.
Will we be having hybrid?
Yeah, we'll keep it set up like this.
That means we can vote
Yeah, for subcommittees, yes.
for subcommittees.
Change this.
This posted date.
And, oh, did he say that?
No, he
Oh.
said where I had,
And,
one of them had an event.
yeah, and
Where it has
community
event.
character and.
No, it's right here.
Okay.
Is that what you're talking about?
No, that, and then, so wait, this is economic vitality. They're both July 4th.
Yeah, those days should be the
That's the
same. 'cause
Tuesday and-
one's
okay,
9
yep,
and one's
got it.
4. The dates should be fine. It seems like our meeting days for the most part work pretty well.
For the meetings, steering committee meeting.
For, for the branding? I don't think so, since that's more or less got that figured out, and then it's just the implementation on that. So I don't think we'll have any more on that. Kind of a one and done. We could also bring some of those folks on to some of our subcommittees.
I heard it was well received at council. Yeah. Hope you liked it. I liked it.
And
Yeah.
the advisory board meetings, there's one on March 14th. Isn't that the first day for the conference?
Yeah,
What?
conference. It is easier, to post it and then cancel them
Okay.
than it is to not put a consistent schedule out. So if we can approve this, then I'll go in and put notices of the ones that we know we have to cancel.
If we have a quorum, go.
On
We
the,
can.
Have to be here.
board meeting and the economic vitality in the January 3rd, and
For,
the second Tuesday.
yeah, so that would be for the advisory board. Oh, yeah, you're right. Too many dates. So that would be January the 10th.
Yeah.
Copied and pasted a lot.
Which one, the economic valley?
The downtown advisory,
Page 12.
Oh. January.
my bad.
What are you doing all day, Jamie?
Dawn. Oh, yesterday. Then I was on the phone with text all day yesterday.
Great.
That was fun.
So do we need a motion to approve these?
Yes.
The motion to approve notice of meetings, totality
With the,
with adjustments.
Ryan seconded. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor, say aye. Any opposed? All right, got it.
All right, and then the last thing I've got for today is, starting to review our work plan from last year and this year. I printed this off too. Of what we had said we wanted to do this past year, or really we said 2022, 2023. And so then moving things on for next year's plan. We don't have too much time, so this might be something that will carry on into our January meeting. But basically I got what we had said we wanted to do in 2022. And then moving on to 2023 and what we want to do. And I've got to break them out into our 4 Main Street points. MOU between the Friends and the city. This is going to be presented to council to be approved in early 2023. The Friends are still working on financial policy, profit. All right.
Yeah.
Increased board and community education. That was something that we had. I think we've done a lot of that. It's an ongoing goal to pursue a downtown master plan. That's in progress for next year. Moving into our subcommittee, community character team, we had wanted to review our facade grant program, but we talked about it some, but we haven't officially adopted any updates to that. So that should be a priority for that subcommittee. We'd also talked about updating signage on Main Street, 7th Avenue. I've got that for 2023. Our CDA grant. Put all new signs out. And 7th Avenue branding was a big goal for the community character team, and that check as far as completing, getting the design, and then next year we'll have implementation. Something else on the community character team that I added was we talked about vacant windows in one of our last meetings and making some improvement or making some recommendations for businesses that have vacant windows there. As far as design related goals, be thinking about if there's any that you think we should add to be working on for the next year.
what do you mean design for the windows or for?
No, for the community characters, for that subcommittee. And then we'll be able to talk about that the individual subcommittee in January. But if there's any particular projects that you think should be on the docket for the next year or two.
Can we, before the next fiscal year starts, like maybe February or March, can we review that laundry list of things that we want to do? And then we've identified like certain corridors and things like we could add more lights, add more
Yeah.
baskets, and put in budget requests for what we think, or we need to prioritize those things.
Mhm.
And then put in budget requests for the next fiscal year, 23, 24, to accomplish some of those things off of that list.
And we have a lot of those in the capital improvement budget because that goes out, way out. And so like big things like the planters.
Yeah.
And,
So that's already requested.
yeah.
Well, let's review what
So we'll
we
review
had
that.
requested
Yeah.
and then keep working on that.
Mhm.
Cool.
Moving into the economic vitality subcommittee, we're gonna go all about education and things related to the parking garage and parking as far as updates with what's going on with that. We'd wanted to host a downtown employee training and orientation. Haven't done that, but I think we should move that to a goal for next year. And then we had enhanced ease of use for downtown with educational signage and use items related to it. So I think all of this is 23, in addition to the small business training and loan fund that we have from a grant printed off with Health Trust. Then there's other two things that we haven't done should carry over into next year. thinking about from, on the economic vitality side, things that we could be working on for that. I think we've got our hands full on plenty of things. And then our events team, we had wanted to establish a subcommittee for holiday promotions. We had met, with a couple of merchants, but then we had a lot of changeover, as far as bringing Terry in a few weeks before Christmas. And so Terry took on a lot of holiday events, and I think there's a lot of potential for future years, on that, based building on what she's already done in the past month or so, Terry and Dakota, the past month or so. We had for last year, additional marketing outlets for Friends of Downtown events, which we did, thanks to some grants from the PDA. Improving the auction experience. It almost doubled in sales, so I'd say that's pretty good, but we still want to think about that in-person event. And then including 175th promotional material, which we did. So goals that I've already got for next year for events, is this transition taking over Garden Jubilee, expanding on this holiday events. We are thinking we're probably going to need to review the Rhythm and Brews site layout because one of those properties has been sold.
Which one?
The one where we do the VIP tent.
Oh,
It's probably going to be available still for this year, but we know that's not going to last long, potentially. And then it's like a developer. But right now it's just going to be parking. And then the special events team. So our events committee is going to be meeting, at our first meeting of the year, we're going to talk a lot about event site layout, especially for members.
so for the first meeting in January for all of these, can we talk through the process of how we're gonna complete these goals for the year?
Yeah.
There's our agenda.
Yep. Okay, comes out so well, doesn't it?
Does.
So I've got on the agenda for today.
Do we know what's gonna be on our agenda next month? Anything?
As far as the downtown board, I don't have anything in particular ready, so we can invite a police officer.
So the North Carolina Main Street goals that,
Oh.
when do you have to fill out that application and turn it in?
January 8th, and I,
Oh, okay.
and so,
So, why don't we, I would like this group of folks to lay eyes on this. These are like the standards that we're held to by the North Carolina Main Streets for good reason. Also, we're a little different because we're kind of like ahead of where a lot of people are. Like most of them have like completely empty falling down buildings that they're trying to like save before they are tear downs and zero government support. And it's like 100% people, like individuals fundraising. And it's a 501c3 that gets like, I mean, not just no government support, but pushback from local government saying like, we don't even want to revitalize downtown. So we're like way ahead of the game on that. So we're kind of in a weird spot with it, but I still have this sitting on my desk that you and I were going to go through it and talk through how to get
get things
accomplished. Why don't we do that as a group in January? Because it's cool to see this, like, this is what built us, like the things that, and if you have watched this program, the Main Street program that we have here, the downtown program that we have here over the last 12 years, you will see where we've come, like, what are these things we have accomplished if you've watched it the whole time. So it's cool to look at. And that'll help us work through how, the little leftovers that we still can't really get to.
I think
We'll work
we did
through.
go through, like, at the end, we get our report card, and we did go through that at a meeting earlier this year to talk about, but we need to review it every year.
It's still, this would be just a good thing to go through for us, I think. Plus, you guys need to see the standards that our programs are being held to by this organization.
I'll
So,
send out this blank one just so y'all can see, and then I'll send out the final one that, which I think is what I did last time too. Just the final one of, where we are.
and
on a lot of
then
things.
I'll review it before you turn it in.
Yeah, you have to, you gotta sign it.
Yeah.
I gotta put it together.
That's good. Text me when you send it.
Oh, that's,
Cool. So that's our agenda for
I
January.
don't think either.
And then I think probably, unless something happens in February, let's get an officer then. This is gonna
February
take the whole time. And this is a good, like, start off the year, early in the year, thing to do in January, and then we'll review in February, we can review what the team decided on in their January meetings, and we can have the officer come and discuss all that stuff. That'll get us through the first couple months, unless
Sounds
that
great.
pops up. Good?
Yep. Sounds good.
And-
What's happened with
Other
the
ideas?
zoning, all the discussion we had? Where does all that stand? Something.
It got denied by council. And I don't know what's going on with that project at this point. I know they're working on, they've been clearing stuff out from those buildings.
I think they're waiting on the city comprehensive plan is what they kind of kicked it down the road.
Well, that would be, okay.
They're waiting on the city comprehensive plan and then they're going to revisit the Seventh Avenue. They can kind of bake it all together.
Fixing up some things on those properties now until they get zoned for whatever it is that they could be zoned for.
What's the city's goal for the comp plan? The date to be done?
So in the RFP for it, there was basically, it's basically a year-long process. And so then it's just a matter of the start time. And so I know when I asked Lou about the timeline today, it sounded like he should be hearing back from the consultants by the end of the year. So I assume they'll probably do a kickoff February, March, something like that. March, is all here.
And it'll take a year.
Mhm. Yeah, and they're trying to, because we've added the downtown master plan as a part of it, and a transportation plan, or there was another part that was added to it too. And so trying to figure out how to work in all of these additional plans as a part of which, to me, all the public input is going to be, it's gonna be all from different people, but you can ask them all about a variety of things. So I think that can be pretty seamless. And then there's gonna be a parks plan in addition to that.
In January, can we get an update on the Seventh Avenue streetscape?
Mhm.
To answer some of the questions that were asked today, and that will be not a super lengthy update, because like, the plan is what it
Yeah.
is. It's
By
not
that
like we're
point-
trying to like, throw spaghetti at the wall and be like, we want this, will this
Yeah.
work, I mean,
I'll ask,
should be a quick update. We can have that
Brandon to come from engineering.
And then we can. go through-
And by that point, when I talked to him yesterday, he was saying, we meet with them, with Seventh Avenue, the contractor, every other week. And so by that point, we should have an update.
Cool, so that should get us
Holidays are going on during that.
January, February, and then March, we can. Anything we can do ahead of time for the comp plan, and then we should be prepared to like. We want to get whatever we need for that, we need to be strong with it. So like, we need to plan on spending ample time to contribute what we think we need to for that.
Mhm.
So I think maybe this year, it would be cool if a couple of our meetings were taken up by that. because
Oh, I
it's a
think
big
that
deal, so-
they're going to be, because I mean, the downtown master plan will tell us what we should be working on as far as particularly big projects for the next 5-10 years, as far as investments into infrastructure and park development and all that kind of stuff that's
Cool.
in and around downtown.
Anything else that, I mean, that's kind of like the first 3 months almost. I have, my other committee, I've been setting agendas at the previous meeting, and it has worked really well.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Everybody knows what to expect when they come in the door. Anything else we want to talk about next year? No? Cool. Anything else that we want to talk about right now? Other business? Keep talking about this stuff, the business? I kind of Actually, I do have a question. Of course you do.
When we adjourn, I'll ask it real quick.
Commanding.
Motion to adjourn.
So, well, it's about rhythm and blues. We've been doing the t-shirts, or helping the city, and we need some suggestions of some vendors, because we may need one next year.
Okay, I'm sure that Jamie can, or
Anybody, I mean, if you do them from your business,
I'll get some vendors, very reliable.
that's good.
I'm trying to get on that for years.
Well, throw them at Patsy.
Yep.
I don't know.
I mean, we've been fortunate, Vocational Solutions has been very cooperative with us, but, they have to send out